Hey guys, what's going on? We got another Enhancement Shaman Mythic Plus video. We are doing a Grim Batol 10. We are playing Enhancement Totemic once again, and at this very start during Lust, I go ahead and forget to move, and I end up dying, and it's about to happen right here. Yay! I'm so good at the game. Anyways, on another topic, other than me sucking, we've had some big patch drops, which is 11.1, the notes for that. Although I did go over it in another video, I just want to talk about the tier set for a little bit. Specifically the 4-piece. Or actually, I guess both pieces. So the 2-piece increases or has a chance to increase our damage of our Lava Lash, Ice Strike, and Storm Strike. And if we use Maelstrom Spenders, we have a chance to remove those stacks. And then our 4-piece is whenever we gain a stack of winning streak, or whatever it is called, we reduce the cooldown of Doomwinds by 2 seconds or something. And then if it gets removed by Maelstrom Spenders, we reduce it by 10 seconds. So this has a lot of RNG, and it's quite the big fall off from our current tier set, which gives us an extra Feral Spirit and just flat damage to our Lava Lash and stuff. So the big thing is going to be, what are we going to do? So right now they are looking to remove some damage, or I guess readjust our damage. So they are taking it out of our Maelstrom Spenders and putting it into our Maelstrom Generators. Now, they haven't directly nerfed our generators yet. Actually, I think in a recent update, they actually buffed Elemental Blast, so it's kind of interesting. But, so what does this mean? Well, if they do it incorrectly, we could be looking at a very weird version of Enhance. And by weird, I mean we don't use Maelstrom Spenders. So if our generators, such as Lava Lash, and that'll typically be the build we run if our generators are the most powerful, will be Lava Lash, we will not be taking Maelstrom Spenders, and we will only be casting Lava Lash, which I hope doesn't happen. And now remember, this is only if they do things like really incorrectly. It'll make our generators do way too much damage, making us focus on them rather than our spenders, which would make absolutely no sense, and I don't think anybody would agree with that. So I really hope that doesn't happen. That is like worst case scenario. Another case that might happen is we focus on Doomwinds, specifically going into a Stormbringer version, where we don't even care if we spend 10 stacks or 5 stacks. We just want to spend our Maelstrom for the chance to remove the buff to pull 10 seconds off of Doomwinds. Now, this would be a better playstyle. One, it'll work into Thorm's Invocation a bit better, which is a bit of an interesting one based on how it might interact with the tier set. So during Ascendance, we could possibly be getting a bunch of Doomwinds during that window. Now, this is all dependent on how many times it procs and how lucky or unlucky you are in a sense. So if that happens, it would be better than the Lava Lash no Maelstrom Spender, but I think it would still be a bit awkward. On the other hand, we seem to be it looks like they're focusing on Totemic, and having our tier set revolve around Doomwinds isn't like worst case scenario, but it does make working around the talent tree a bit awkward. Now, Doomwinds does interact with Wind Fury, which interacts with one of the hero talents part of Totemic for Flame Tongue, where it does AoE damage. So it's not like it's a big loss or anything, but it is possible if we do that, we won't be running the 4 set, we would just be running the 2 set, and even then it's kind of weird. But we don't have room, so if we want to run Lava Lash in an AoE sense, it doesn't feel like we have room for Crash Lightning or Crashing Storm. We would just have our Sunder, Lashing Flames, and then Doomwinds, and then we go into Elemental Spirits and stuff like that. So our talent tree definitely feels a bit chaotic right now. But yeah, those are the things I'm worried about. In a perfect world, I think they will get this right. Now, Primordial Storm is still going to be up in the air, questionable. Since there hasn't been any testing or any real form of how much damage this thing's actually going to do and how it will interact properly. No idea which build it will go for. Most likely it will fit into the totemic build, as Oversurge got completely nerfed for totemic. So it used to do 150% increased damage, now it only does 50%. So you can see why Ascendance would no longer be used in totemic. It's just like this massive nerf to the talent. But they did buff other things such as Living Totem, and they buffed reactivity, so that way every sunder caused by your lava lash will trigger a Earth Surge at 50% effectiveness, which would be very interesting. And with the change to Feral Spirits, gaining that 10% physical damage all the time, I think it'll be very possible that we might be seeing an Elementalist playstyle with a Wind Fury bonus. But in the end, it comes down to testing and seeing what the heck is going to go on. So they said they're going to release the PTR early 2025. So hopefully it comes out sometime this week. But we still have like, I think, a month and a half until the patch actually drops, which is quite unfortunate because I'm really getting a bit dragged. It feels like this patch is just dragged on for so long. But yeah, those are the current worries. Aside from all the changes to spells and stuff, I think they are going in the right direction, where for right now they have just buffed our generators. Rather than buffing generators and nerfing Maelstrom spenders, they're just buffing generators to see where we're at. So throughout the entire damage sort of oriented spot for the patch notes, I think overall we've gotten a big buff. Although we are losing the tier set, I'm not counting that. I think just the kit in general, we are getting a big buff right now. But that could change. Now, we will have to see the numbers based on our Maelstrom spenders, and they will nerf those or possibly buff generators more to, make them a bit even. Although, I have to say, like, it does make sense for our spenders to do majority of our damage. But when you look at our damage breakdown in Totemic or Stormbringer, for Totemic, it is 50% of the totem. And I think everybody understands why. It's because of Oversurge comboed with Earth Surge, just making the totem do massive damage. But for Stormbringer, it's strictly focused on Lightning Bolt, and Tempest. And Elemental Blast if you're running it, if you are running it. Oh my gosh. So it does make sense to pull some power out of that to even it out, because both of those end up being about 50% of our damage overall, which in some cases is fine, but I think they want our generators to feel more impactful than they do, because right now it almost feels like they're just there to generate. That's it. They're not actually there to do damage, which is kind of sad. And I think a lot of people, I personally would like to see a buff to Wind Fury. I feel like it's very weak right now, and it should be like this big staple part of Enhancement. And with our tier set being worked around Doomwinds, I think it would be really cool to see Wind Fury see some serious action. They did buff a whole bunch of things they buffed Doomwinds by causing it to be Storm Strike damage, which will in turn be always buffed by Elemental Spirits, which is nice. So we will be seeing a big increase from Doomwinds itself, but I don't know how much of that will be Wind Fury. I would really like to see some buffs to Wind Fury itself, but I don't know if that will be possible. But who knows? Because it's technically not a generator, it's just a damage dealer, but our auto attacks generate, so it's really hard to say. It really is hard to say, but it would be kind of nice if they did that. But yeah, like, breakdowns for Totemic is Totem, and then it is, I believe it's probably Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, and then I think it's Storm Strike. But like the distance between the two is like, those are doing like 5 to 4%, and the Totem's doing about 50%. And in Stormbringer, Tempest is usually at the top, or no, yeah, at the top for single target, and then it's lightning bolt, and then in AoE it's lightning bolt then tempest, which is kind of interesting. But with the change to primordial storm and primordial wave, I'll be interested to see in what happens to everything, because currently Stormbringer relies on Primordial Wave to trigger those lightning bolts, and now it's still going to trigger Lightning Rod, but I think it's going to be a lot weaker because it's not going to contribute to the Lightning Rod damage. So each Lightning Bolt triggered from the Primordial Wave currently is causing Lightning Rod damage. But in the new one, they haven't specified it, but I don't think Primordial Wave, the new design for it, is going to add in for the Lightning Rod damage. It's just going to apply Lightning Rod. So that'll be a big nerf to Stormbringer AoE, but maybe you won't end up taking it. I don't know, but it's interesting to say. And the change to um, Ascendance, the Root of Elements, is quite exciting. I'm excited to have that back. And the way they done it is probably the best way they could have done it, where Maelstrom Spenders is 0.6%. And then during Ascendance, when we're spamming because of Thorn Invocation causing 5, you have half the chance to trigger it. I think that's a great design, and I'll be excited to see if there is any form of luck protection. And by that, I mean like every time you fail to proc, you get X% increased every time you go for a chant. So it'll be interesting to see in what happens. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. I am excited. Don't get me wrong. I am very excited for this new tier set. Doomwinds is one of my favorite buttons to press, and I think a lot of people can agree that Doomwinds, although it is kind of lackluster, it's always felt like it does something, right? Where you're triggering Wind Fury all the time. So it's exciting to see that it's going to get some gameplay. And with the new iteration of it for 11.0.5, the tornado actually does a lot of damage in AoE. So I am very, very excited to see what comes of this tier set and how much Wind Fury and Doomwinds itself is going to do. And I'm interested in the talent shakeup as well. So we'll have to see what build comes out on top once testing is done. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's going to be it for my commentary. Let me know your thoughts on the new tier set and everything, and what you're hoping for and stuff like that. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed so far, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video as well. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching. Laters!
The void consumes everything. Inevitably, the void consumes everything. Inevitably, the void consumes everything.
The darkest days are still.
Inevitably, the void consumes everything.